Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of BSing Sports. As you can see, it's a little bit different today. I am soloing the show. Jake already on the comments section saying, go get him. As always, we want to thank Orphan Rivers for our intro music. Those of you who don't know me, I'm Bill. It says it right there on the screen, Bill at BSing Sports. And anybody who's been following, we've been doing a predictions. Ryan, myself, Jake, and Tim are all doing predictions for the NFL. So I'm just going to rattle right through these. It's just going to be a quick show. If you want to comment, please feel free to comment. I'm definitely for some interaction, so I'm not just sitting here talking to myself. But again, thanks for joining us here on BSing Sports, where we do a little BS. We talk a whole lot of sports. I'll just get right into it. Thursday night game, we had the Giants and 49ers going at it. There was a 10.5-point spread. The over-under was 44.5. Ryan is the only one who went positive on this one. He got two of the picks correct to one incorrect. He chose the 49ers not to cover and the score to be under. The 49ers did win. They definitely covered the spread, and the score did manage or did end up staying under the 44.5 point total. So good for Ryan at 2-1 to start the week. Me, Jake, and Tim have some ground to make up already at 1-2 apiece. First 1 o'clock game. Got the Titans visiting the Cleveland Browns, the now Nick Chubless Cleveland Browns. The spread is 3.5 points in favor of the Browns. The over-under is 39.5. My pick is the Cleveland Browns with or without Nick Chubb. The offense still seemed to roll pretty decent last week. The defense has only given up, I believe the stat is like 14 first downs the entire season. I realize it's a little bit different. They're facing a really good running attack from the Titans, but I expect good things from the Browns defense. Now, I don't think they cover the 3.5-point spread. I think it's a 3-point win for the Browns. And I also believe that it'll be under the 39.5 points. Like I said, two good defenses squaring off, a good running attack versus, still looks pretty rusty, Deshaun Watson. So that's my pick for the Titans-Browns game. Ryan has the Titans to cover and under. Jake has the Browns not to cover and under, just like me. And Timmy has Titans to cover and under, just like Ryan. So it's going to go pretty even across for this particular game to start off. Falcons visiting the Detroit Lions. 3.5-point spread in favor of the Lions. I thought it should have been a bigger spread. That's just me. The over-under is 46.5 points. Ryan has the Lions to cover and the over. All right, let me stop there. All four of us have the Lions to cover and the over. This is going to be a wash game. It's going to happen, That's why we have different categories so that it's not like perfectly even the entire time throughout the season. But I know I'm saying a lot. I apologize. It's really difficult to just sit here and talk to myself. I don't know if anybody's sat here and tried it, but it's not the easiest thing to do. But yeah, my logic for the Lions and the over, like I said, I thought the spread should have been more than 3.5 points, as the Lions are the home team. So basically, you're saying that they're only a half-point spread better than the Falcons, and I don't believe that at all. I believe the Lions are definitely a better team than the Falcons. The over, because the running attack of the Falcons has shown a lot of promise. The offensive prowess of the Lions has started slow, but we know that it's in there and it's going to have to get going here at some point. I think Jahmyr Gibbs is going to have a really big game for the Lions, so definitely taking the over in the 46.5. The next game is the New Orleans Saints visiting the Green Bay Packers. The spread is 2.5 points in favor of the Packers. And Jake, I hope these are right. I don't know if you're listening, but I hope these are right. Over under is 42.5. And let's see. Okay, so we all have cover and over. The only one that's different is Jake with the Packers. So yeah, I took the Saints to cover. Derek Carr has been slinging it and Chris Olave has been really good. Mike Thomas, the slant god is starting to reemerge. He's obviously really rusty. Didn't play for 2 full seasons, pretty much. And their running attack is obviously hurt right now. Most of it, Alvin Kamara doesn't come back for another couple weeks. But I still think the Saints pull this one out. The Packers are just really inexperienced right now, especially at the quarterback position. As everybody knows, Jordan Love's been in the league for 3 years. However, he hasn't started any games until this year, and he hasn't looked like the Messiah at all in Green Bay. Sorry, Packer fans. But that's just how I feel about it. And yeah, so I'm going Saints to cover and the over, just like Timmy and Ryan. Again, Jake, the only one with the Packers. The Denver Broncos taking on the Miami Dolphins. This is like a very quick, static podcast right now, and I feel it, and I'm sorry, but we had to get the show in this week. Ryan's got family in. Jake is visiting family. Timmy just had a baby. So we had to get the show in, so I'm doing the best I can here, team. But again, Denver Broncos visiting the Miami Dolphins. 6.5 point spread in favor of the Dolphins. The over-under is 48.5. All four of us took the over. The only one who did not take the Dolphins to cover a 6.5 point spread was Jake, the Broncos fan. Imagine that. He thinks the Broncos somehow keep it close. I would love to have heard his opinion on it. I just don't see it. So yeah, give me the Dolphins to cover and over. Now, it's worth mentioning that Jalen Waddle was not playing, but I don't think that's going to make that much of a difference in the grand scheme of things. Tyreek Hill is still going to torch that defense regardless of what Jake says. So yeah, sorry you're not here to defend yourself, Jake. But yeah, so give me the Dolphins to cover and the over. Whew, like I said, this is tough. Anybody want to start commenting in the comments section? Feel free so I can talk to you, please. I'm begging you. Next game is the Chargers and the Vikings. The over-under in the Chargers and Vikings game is 1.5 in favor of the Vikings. The over-under is 54.5. They're expecting a lot of points, which, I mean, how could you not be expecting a lot of points? In a game between the Chargers and the Vikings, you're talking Justin Jefferson, Justin Herbert, Kirk Cousins, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. I know Austin Eckler is injured, but it's going to be a lot of points scored in this game. Let's see, all four of us took the same thing again. Another wash this week. It seems like we're all in very much agreement on some of these games here. So we all took the Chargers to cover and the over. Like I said, everything I just said, there's going to be a lot of points scored in this game. I just don't see the defenses doing a whole lot. I wouldn't be surprised if the combination of points is somewhere closer to 70 rather than 54.5. So again, Chargers cover over. The New England Patriots are visiting the New York Jets. And the over-under in this is the Patriots are favored by 2.5 points, and 36.5 is the over-under. Sorry, I said that all combobulated. That's my fault. I apologize. Timmy's the only one who goes against us here. He takes the Jets and the over. And the rest of us take the Patriots to cover the 2.5 point spread. So all three of us think they win by at least 3 points, which, I mean, if you're going to take the Patriots, you have to assume they're going to cover a 3-point spread, right? And the over at 36.5. Yeah, the Patriots have shown a little bit of fight here in the first couple of weeks. I realize that they're obviously 0-2, but they played two really tough opponents, in the Miami Dolphins and the Philadelphia Eagles. But they at no point have they looked super dead in the water. And I mean, that's impressive, especially for a team that looked as bad offensively as they did last year. So again, I think the Patriots win this game, and I'm not going to say it's like an easy win by any means. I just really do feel like the Patriots come out victorious here, and obviously, again, a 3-point spread, you pick them to win the spread. Let's see, next game I'll be watching. Buffalo Bills are visiting the Washington Commanders. My wife and I are like secondary Bills fans. They're on the list of teams that we prefer to watch over, like the teams we don't like to watch. But obviously, the Eagles are our team. Cut and dry. But anyway, Buffalo Bills visiting the Washington Commanders. Bills are favored by 6.5 points. The over/under is 43.5. All four of us, again, Bills cover and over. Sam Howell has not looked bad. I think it's very important to say that Sam Howell has not looked bad. However, he just is young and a little bit green, and he's still getting his feet under, and that offense is really still trying to figure itself out. And the Bills have a good defense. They've had a good defense for years. Sean McDermott's a great coach. Obviously, he's a defensive-minded coach. And then you got Josh Allen. So, yeah, I definitely got the Bills beating the Commanders. I think the Bills do cover the spread, and the over is 43.5, and I'm taking the over. Ken Brandt also takes the Bills. Thanks for joining, Ken. It was like I was talking to myself there for a few minutes. Let's see. Next game, we have the Houston Texans visiting to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jags are favored by 9.5 points. Vegas thinks the Jaguars are going to win by at least 10 here. Over under 44.5. Let's see. Me, Ryan and Tim are all the same, with the Jaguars not covering the 9.5 point spread, again, winning by less than 10 points. And the over, which is 44.5. Jake is the only one who goes against us, going with the under of 44.5. It's my assumption he thinks only the Jaguars are going to score, so the Jags win probably, in his opinion. Again, I'm just assuming what Jake is thinking here, winning somewhere around 28-10, 38 points. And I could see that. I really could. Except I think because it wouldn't be 28-10. But anyway, I think because we're saying that the Texans will keep it close enough, I think it still goes over, and the Jags only win by 7 points. Indianapolis Colts visiting the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are favored by 8.5 points. The over/under is 45.5. Jake, okay. So Ryan and I both take the Ravens not to cover and the under. Tim takes the Ravens not to cover and the over. Jake takes the Colts and the under. How you doing, Gary? Appreciate it. Good to see you. Richardson is out. That's why I'm surprised that Jake took the Colts. I'm wondering if he'll change. We have until, keep in mind, all these picks that we're saying here on Friday or Saturday night are subject to change Sunday morning before 11:30 a.m. We've made that deal. It's been concrete the whole time, and we're very specific about locking it in at 11:30. So these are subject to change. I expect Jake will likely change that Colts pick. So yeah, but anyway, right now Jake has the Colts to, they're the underdog and the under. I'm taking the Ravens here. I don't think it's that much of a surprise. I'm taking the Ravens here. Lamar Jackson's starting to kick that rust off. He's really starting to pick it up a little bit. He's actually got a set of receivers this year. Zay Flowers is really showing out. Mark Andrews is getting healthy. I know week one they lost J.K. Dobbins, but they've been pretty much without J.K. Dobbins the last few seasons, and they've managed to put it together. Playoff team almost every year except for last year, obviously, because Lamar Jackson went down. So I expect that to continue to be in the right direction. The Ravens take the victory here. And I think that's essentially a no-brainer, but not apparently not. Ryan just texted me, said he's at B-Dubs with his brother-in-law's family, and he wishes me luck here on the solo show. Ryan, I appreciate you, bud. Let's see. Yeah, so let's move on to the Panthers and Seahawks. I know I had an unfinished thought there, but it was unfinished. Sorry. Panthers and Seahawks. Seahawks are favored 6.5 points. The over/under is 42.5. Bryce Young is not playing. So all four of us take the Seahawks. Ryan and I take the Seahawks to cover the 6.5 point spread, meaning win by at least 7, and the over of 42.5. Still think it'll be a scoring contest. Jake takes the Seahawks to cover and the under, but Timmy takes the Seahawks not to cover and the under. Let's see what else we got going on here. Also, if I get silent for a few seconds, I am still technically working, and I gotta do stuff on my laptop that's right here. But right now, I'm still good, just so everybody's on the same page. Usually, I have a co-host, right? And then if I had to do something, he would just chime in and say stuff. But it's just me by myself right now. Hi, it's me. I'm the problem. But yeah. So anyway, next game on the docket: the Chicago Bears are visiting the Kansas City Chiefs. Thank you, Gary. I won't post that on the screen. Nobody else needs to see it, but I appreciate you, Gary. Which one am I talking about? I just said the Seahawks. Okay, so I'm on the Chicago Bears visiting the Kansas City Chiefs. The over/under is 13. Wow, that is a big spread. 13.5 points. Favorites are the Kansas City Chiefs. The over/under is 48.5 points. Ryan's got the Chiefs not to cover and the under. I mean, again, 14 points is a big spread. I also have the Chiefs not to cover. However, I have the over. Jake has the Chiefs not to cover and the under, and Timmy has the Chiefs not to cover and the over. Listen, I know the Chiefs put it together there in the second half, at least last week against the Jaguars, but overall they have not looked like the Super Bowl contending team that they've been perennially or annually, whatever word you want to use. And they're just off to a really slow and inconsistent start, especially on the offensive side of the football. I know Travis Kelce was injured the first week. Obviously, his appearance last week made a big deal. But I'd like to see more out of the Chiefs. And until they show me more, I can't take them winning a game by 14 points. I know they did last week against the Jaguars, and I totally understand that. A Jaguars team that's better than, the Bears team that they're facing this week. I can't consistently take them to win these 14-point spreads, So I'm taking the Chiefs not to cover and the over on that one. Obviously, they still have Patrick Mahomes. Next game, let's see what we got going on here. The Dallas Cowboys visiting the Arizona Cardinals. This also is a huge spread, 12.5 points in favor of the Cowboys. I don't think it's a surprise that Arizona is, this far behind in the point spread here. They've just been a bit of a disaster. They obviously give up a 20-point lead in the second half to the Giants last week, who in 2 other games this year we've seen have not been very good. So I don't have a lot of hope for Arizona here. I've got the Cowboys to cover the 12.5 point spread. I think the Cowboys beat the Cardinals pretty handily. And I've got the over. So when I say they beat them pretty handily, I mean, not only did they beat them handily, they might get to the 43 points by themselves. So I've got the Cowboys to cover and the over. Ryan has the Cowboys not to cover and the under. Jake has the Cowboys to cover and the under. Timmy has the Cowboys to cover and the under. So Ryan's got a potential chance to gain two on us there, or at least on me anyway. Standings are I'm in the basement, but I had a much better week last week. I went 30-18. Ryan went 32-16. Timmy and Jake didn't have such good weeks, so Ryan and I really made up some ground. Let's see. Sunday Night Football. We've got the Pittsburgh Steelers, who have not really looked that great, visiting the Las Vegas Raiders, who also have not looked super fantastic. The Raiders are the favorite here by 2.5 points. The over-under is 43.5 points. We all take the Steelers. Ryan and I take the Steelers to cover and the under. Timmy and Jake take the Steelers to cover and the over. I just haven't seen enough from either offense to think that they're going to get to 43.5 points. I just haven't seen it. Also, keep in mind, usually those Mike Tomlin-led defenses for the Steelers are pretty good, and they can hold guys pretty well on to low points is what I'm saying. I know I'm like losing my train of thought here. I apologize. But typically, Mike Tomlin-led teams' defenses are really good, and they perform really well. And again, I've said this several times. Jimmy Garoppolo is not an upgrade to Derek Carr. And I don't know what the Raiders were thinking when they assumed that was the case. I think it was a Mike McDaniel connection. That's the only thing I can think of was Mike McDaniel's connection. But no, again, the Jimmy Garoppolo is not an upgrade to Derek Carr. As a result, I take these Steelers here. The first of two Monday night games, the game that I will be watching. The Philadelphia Eagles are visiting my almost close to me town, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Why is that No, I guess you did it for a few other teams. Why did you do that, Jake? You got like some of them you say Tampa, some of them you say they're like the Bucket. Like, just keep it consistent, brother. Actually, I do appreciate you putting this together. When you watch this later, just know I appreciate you, Jake. Anyway, Eagles in favor to the Birds. The over-under is 46.5. We are very similar except for Jake. So me, Tim, and Ryan all take the Eagles to cover and the over. Jake does not take the Eagles to cover a 5.5 point spread in Tampa. My assessment on the Birds right now is, yes, they've gotten off to a slow start in the passing game. However, they showed last week they can dominate the run game. And when you dominate the run game, you don't have to have a great passing game. However, I would like to see them air the ball out about a little bit this week. If all of you fantasy owners that are freaking out about A.J. Brown, play him this week. 100% play him this week. I firmly believe A.J. Brown is going to go off this week. And it's got very little to do with the conversation that was on the sideline of last week's game, last Thursday night's game. I think it's got more to do with the camaraderie in the locker room and how they all handled it. I just believe firmly that A.J. Brown is going to be a big part of this week's game plan. If you think about it, Dallas Goedert, there was a big thing going on about how Dallas Goedert was open several times in the first game against the Patriots, and Jalen Hurts just never went his way. And then there was like 2 or 3 drives where every single drive against the Vikings on Thursday night, Dallas Goedert got 1 or 2 looks. I think it's going to be the same thing. A.J. Brown's a little bit better at creating space than Dallas Goedert. I expect him to have a big game. The last game, last Monday night game of the week, will be the Rams visiting the Bengals. Bengals are favored by 3.5 points. Joe Burrow is a questionable start right now. So I want you to know if Joe Burrow is not starting Monday, I'm switching my bet. I want you to know that ahead of time. However, if Joe Burrow is starting, I've got the Bengals not to cover and the over. Ryan also has the Bengals not to cover and the over. Jake has the Rams and the over. And Timmy has the Bengals not to cover and the over. So the only difference here is Jake takes the Rams. Now, again, I'm being very specific with this one. If Joe Burrow doesn't start, that's a completely different offense. I know he hasn't been fantastic to start the year, but he's going to get his footing. He started 0-2 last year. They made the playoffs, made the AFC Championship game. The Bengals are a good team. They're gonna get going. They just are. Now, having said that, I've been impressed with the way the Rams have hung around. They really fought the Niners tooth and nail last week in that game. A Niners team who blew out the Steelers and then turned around and blew out the Giants. The Rams kept that game really close. And I know Sean McVay schemes Mike Shanahan really well, or Kyle Shanahan, rather. Mike is the old guy. Kyle Shanahan really well. And they always have good matchups, those Rams and Niners teams, obviously. But No, I've been impressed with the Rams so far this year. Pua Nakua might not play. Apparently, he's dealing with an oblique injury of some sort. It came through in the practice the other day, but I've been impressed with the Los Angeles Rams. I really have. So those are BSing sports picks and over under and covers for the third week of the NFL 2023. I hope you guys enjoyed what I had to give you there. Again, running a solo show, obviously it's gonna be a shorter show when there's three of us. Three of us talk for about 20 minutes each, but it's me by myself, so 20 minutes is all I needed to explain how it's going down. I will give you the standings and the updates here. I'm in fourth place. I did win last year, but I'm in fourth place at 46 correct, 50 incorrect. Ryan is in third place, 49 correct, 47 incorrect. Tim is in second place, 51 and 45, and Jake is in first at 54 and 42. Like I said, to kick the show off, Ryan and I had really good weeks last week. I'm feeling like we're gonna have a couple more good weeks. We get right back in this the 8-game lead that Jake has on me right now. That's not gonna hang very long. But yeah, unless somebody has a question they want me to answer in the chat, going once, going twice. All right. Well, thank you for joining me here on BSing Sports, part of the BSing Network, where we do a little BS and we talk a whole lot of sports. Have a great night. It helps if I'm ready to do this.